Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Revive and Thrive. It's a beautiful Saturday here in NYC. We both got plans to get out and about. I'm excited about that. But before that, we are here with another, hopefully, juicy topic that will elicit a lot of feedback and conversation and comments from you guys, our audience. But first, let me thank our new subscribers for joining. We're almost up to 650 subscribers. So
Yeah.
we just steadily keep growing. So thank you for every new subscriber and for everyone who has been riding with us since the beginning. We definitely appreciate your support. And just to reiterate, as we do every week, we are streaming on our personal and business Facebook pages, along with our personal and business IG pages. However, on IG, we cannot see your comments come through while we're streaming. So if you do want to join the conversation, definitely make sure you tune in on Facebook or on our YouTube page, which I prefer. So definitely make sure you join in, especially for this week's topic. So, KG, we're going to kick it off talking about love and race. Why marriage rates amongst Black couples tell a different story. We were chatting yesterday and just thinking about this topic. And, it's something I guess that definitely relates to us in terms of we're both out here hoping to get married one day, right? But seeing these stats across social media saying, amongst our communities, folks we have the highest divorce rates and we're the least likely to get married. I mean, it wasn't really a surprise like seeing that. But we're hoping to dig in a little bit to just kind of see what the thoughts are behind this. I'll just go over the rates specifically that were provided, and we're referencing a Forbes article titled "Revealing Divorce Statistics in 2024." And when they speak about divorce rates by race, and granted, they go through a lot of different categories, some that we'll touch upon throughout the conversation, but specifically to divorce rates by race, it says the divorce rate for white couples is 15.1%, and the marriage rate among these couples is 32.1%. The divorce rate for Black couples is 30.8%, and the marriage rate is 17.3%. Uh, the divorce rate for Latino couples is 18.5%, and the marriage rate is 33.2%. And then it says Asian Americans have the highest percentage of marriage with 65% married. They also have the lowest percentage of divorce at 4%. Then it says nearly 39% of American Indian, Alaska Native population is currently married. The same percentage has never been married, and approximately 13% are divorced. So, I guess one thing to say is these statistics, even though we have the highest rate of divorce and the lowest rate of marriage, just these are just statistics and they don't necessarily indicate the quality of said unions, right? Like even though there's other populations they may still be married, and we
Yeah.
don't really know, how healthy these marriages are, if people are unhappy. So these are just like raw numbers and we're just talking about them on a basic level, right? So KG, talking about like our marriage rates, like is anything that comes to mind that you think like that would attribute to us as a community just not really being interested in marriage anymore? Like,
Girl, it's like so many action, like so many things I think about. I'm always roaming these social media streets and look at various discussions of folks who are melanated like us and how we interact with each other. And most cases, I would say it's pretty sad. And looking at how we talk about each other, it seems to be a divide. It seems to be a lack of trust. It seems to be a lack of respect for each other. And yeah, it is so disheartening because, I guess, people tell me I live in a fairy tale land where I believe in love and all. And what I see amongst people that I love, I do have friends who are single, who like to meet someone and whatever. And I see both sides. I hear from the men, I hear from the ladies. It just seems like we just have this huge disconnect and we can't get it together. And I'm hoping maybe if there are more conversations, maybe instead of just like belittling each other and try to come to some kind of resolution, maybe we can get it better because those statistics are terrible. We're the least likely to get married and the most likely to get divorced. It's like it's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I think it really just boils down, and everybody, please chime in. To a lack of respect. I see some of the commentary that I see some men say about women, like, "Oh, don't trust women." I've seen stuff like, "Oh, you never tell a woman how you feel emotionally because they'll just throw it back
Use
in
it
your
against you.
face."
Yeah.
I'm like, what is the point of having a partner if you can't be transparent and yourself and open with them?
Vulnerable. Yeah.
What's the point? So I don't know how we got here. I mean, I have opinion on how we got here and the agenda of breaking us apart, but it's just like, why can't we just see through it and counteract it? But I don't know.
What's that opinion?
Girl, it's a lot. I just think, from music
Okay.
and also, and I think us women need to hold ourselves accountable. It seems like I dig on women a lot, but I just don't think we understand our power. I feel
Oh,
if
yeah.
we yeah, we if we change some of the things about us, I think the men will follow.
Um,
I really do. And it's just like, the stuff that I see nowadays where we, seem to let our bodies be readily available. I mean, it's just like I see a lot more, and it's not even just the twerking. I see a lot of body parts. I see a lot of buttocks and vagina out. And this is not even porn. It's like it's on regular social media. It's like you just putting yourself out there, and the lack of respect resumes from the men. They like just don't see us in a high value situation. I mean, that contributes to it. A lot about how some women feel like they don't need a man contributes to the overall problems that we have in sustaining relationships, because in actuality we do need each other. It's just a lot. It's a lot of disconnect, and
yeah.
unfortunately I see that only amongst us. I don't see that radiating in the white space or the Asian space. I just don't. I'm not saying they don't have problems, but they don't have
Right.
problems.
Yeah. I don't. It's so hard to for me to speak about like the other communities because I honestly don't have so many like friendships or relationships in those communities, but I do know like I wasn't surprised definitely about the Asian Americans, right? You just know culturally
Mm,
different communities really promote or advocate for marriage. And I don't feel like within
mhm.
our community, we do. Like, I mean, when I was younger, yes, my mom was always like, get married. It was the things that you're supposed to do in the order of operations that you're supposed to do it. Um, but there's also like so many like broken homes and things and
Mm,
wherever we're getting our kind of like foundations in terms
mhm,
of what's important and how we should be operating through this life. I think there's been a lot of change in that. And then you
mhm.
mentioned like societal norms and things that you see kind of in the media. I think that also has skewed some people's thoughts. And most people, a lot of people now, especially in our community, are like, oh, marriage is just a contract, it's just for a business. Like they're
Yeah,
looking at marriage a little differently. So and it's just it's so many things that go into that, why these changes in mindset. Because personally, there's so many folks that I speak to who are just not interested in marriage, just generally
Yes.
speaking. And there are married folks who are probably just married for the sake of their kids. You know, if they had to do it again, they probably wouldn't, or they would make very different choices in selecting their partners. You know, hindsight is always 2020, right? So they would do things differently. But yeah, it's such a like deeply rooted, you know, issue. And I don't know that there's really I don't know, like having the conversations. I'm always one that I typically don't like these conversations because personally I feel like how are they going to change anything because it's such a like mass issue. But it's good, definitely good to hear people's opinions on things. And we have some comments coming in to
Yeah,
kind of
we do. And I want to touch back on your point.
yeah,
I
go
wanted to
ahead.
ask you, Tamika, because you brought up some awesome points about, I think a lot of people don't value marriage anymore. And that's probably part of the root of the issue. But I was interested, you said that you have friends who just don't want to get married. Like, what are their
No, I didn't say friends. I said you hear
well,
people
okay,
say
whatever.
like
We won't put it on your friends, but
even in social media, you hear
yeah,
people say like they're not interested in
they're not
marriage. You
interested.
know,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And I was just watching a reality show, which is a horrible reality show called The Never Ever Mets. It's
Never
trash, but it's
ever
on my
was.
Never Ever Mets. These
Oh,
folks who were dating online and they hadn't met in person, and there's a show
oh,
kind of capturing their journey, like dating officially. But
uh-huh.
one of the couples, when they were talking about marriage, they both feel the same way. They're really not interested and they just see it as a contract. They're like, you know. So it's like they're just some people who are just like, why, you know? They'll just be together. But there's so many things like I don't know. It's kind of disheartening. You know, you see relationships that are in the media and how they go and then people's views and I don't know, people just are not interested in doing
Yeah,
it anymore for some reason. I mean, it's something that I want. Traditionally I don't know, that partnership and companionship, and I don't know, that's just something I feel is important to me, especially with like raising a family. I feel like there's a value in having this cohesive unit.
oh yeah.
But I don't know. I guess so many people are functioning and I guess happy without it. They just like, you know, why do I need to do it? Um,
Find out. I have to say, these men, girl, you don't just leave with that. I need to know, understand what you mean by, girl, please, these men.
yeah.
Please elaborate, girl. Okay, go ahead, Tamika. I
And
just,
she did comment too, like, yes, we are all dealing with a lot of trauma. And the other point I
yeah.
would make is that
Woo.
it's a lot different when you're younger, you know, coming out of college. Or they always say, well, I still think that that's probably the best time, you know, to kind of build with someone and
I
work towards
agree.
marriage. You're not as jaded, you don't have as much trauma, you don't have as much, as
Yeah.
they say, baggage. Now, like in the 40s, like trying to relate to someone with the scope of everything that we come along with, it's hard, and everyone has so many opinions, and finding that person that kind of aligns with you or you can kind of reason with and compromise with, it seems very, very difficult. It's just like, and like you were talking about the men who always kind of meet a certain type of woman and the women who always meet a certain type of man. It's like, you know, when I talk to my homeboys and, you know, my friends, it's like we just tend to miss each other. Like, I don't know how we're just getting exactly the opposite of what we're looking for, but it seems like we're just missing each other because there's so many great men, so many great women who want the same things. But as far as like connecting, it just doesn't, I don't know.
What is going on? I don't know. It makes me think that are people just talking just to talk or just saying like, oh yeah, I want this, but do they really?
You
Because
want,
once it's
yeah,
before you act up. You don't know how to keep that. You know,
right.
I don't know. It's just like, let's stop playing games with each other and just be real with, you know what I learned? Someone taught me a long time ago, before you even engage in dating, you really need to do some exercises to really understand yourself and
Yes.
understand what you want and what your goals are. And you know what? You know, it just sounds like mumbo jumbo, but I really think this is what we all need to do. Take a step back, really understand ourselves. What do we need? What can we not tolerate? Really like write it down. Like, what do you foresee yourself doing? And then, only then, you look for someone or understand the attributes of someone else that's going to match that and align with that. And so you can focus on looking for that, not just someone who's pretty with a big butt and big breasts, or oh, because he's just chocolate with a nice smile. No, let's go deeper and whatever
Yeah.
else. So I think that can be
Speaking
positive.
of going deeper, Vanette put a comment, marriage now is for photo ops. Yeah, the wedding. Some people are
Mm,
not really focused on the marriage. They're
yeah.
focused on the wedding, right? And it's like, what happens after that? And that brings me to, I guess, one of the stats in here saying that one of the number one reasons, well, the number one reason for these divorces, according to the article, is a lack of commitment. And we were talking about that. Like, what does that mean? They're married. What do you mean lack of commitment? But really committed to the marriage, to making it work. The work that is necessary. So yeah, you think about the wedding, you think about the pretty photos, you think
Yeah.
about, but it's like, am I really ready to do this work? And I don't know. When I think about myself,
Yeah.
that's a very difficult question because I don't even really do relationships well, right? So it's like I don't have much experience, and I'm like, oh, not it. Okay. So, really thinking about that level of commitment that it is going to take to make a marriage last for, you hear the 35, 45, 50 years of, yeah, ooh,
You
yeah.
know what I think, girl, Tamika? I think a lot of that with that commitment is the communication and being
Yeah.
real with each other about what you will, want and or what you need in your relationship, and keep it between you guys. Because a lot of times people may think whatever, like, oh, we can't do XYZ because it's not right. Maybe whatever you guys need to sustain each other, you have that communication, that you will, whatever your rules are, you'll abide by that. But you won't understand what those rules may be unless you communicate and be open. And I think a lot of people have problems just being forthright with what they need, and being okay with saying, okay, this person can't provide that, let me move on. I don't know. I
Yeah.
just think a lot of that is just communication issues. Like, be real
I
with
agree.
yourself.
Being
And
forthright. And then sometimes people's needs and priorities shift. That's a whole other thing throughout. And that can be a whole bag of worms there. But I'm gonna put up this comment from Sherm because I cannot let's see. We've
okay.
had a conversation about this before. The idea of marriage has been on the course of destruction uh,
Okay.
since the time of matriarchy through government assistance.
Oh.
Yes, this is.
Oh, I think I know what he's going through with getting to. Okay, go ahead,
Mhm.
Tamika.
Oh no, I'm just reading it.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yes.
yeah, through the
What do you
acts
think
of
about? What
racism.
do you think about that? We've had this conversation before, Sherm.
Well, I mean, he is some truth to that. That goes back until like the earlier time. Because you gotta understand, we've been through some hell in America as Black folks. But one thing that always sustained was the Black family unit through the 60s and 50s and 70s. But I think what Sherman is bringing to the light, like in the 80s, especially around the drug game also is a part of this, but government assistance. I think what he's trying to say is, I know that government assistance, I don't know what time in the 80s, I think, would provide more monies to
Yeah.
women if
Yeah.
they didn't have a man in a
Right.
household. So that was another way of trying to, like,
Yeah.
oh, I can make more money without that too. Yeah, so that
Yeah.
is it's very true, and this is, you can Google this. The government, between the drug wars in the 80s and the government trying to put their place into the Black family home to separate us more, yeah, these are all facts. And I really think even with who is actually owning and really driving like the music industry, putting these sexy reds and Sukis and other parties out there to be the primary examples for women to be saying, oh, you don't need no man. It's okay. And some aspects, be successful. I don't mind that, but it's just like you don't need a man. You just use a man for his money and or sexual pleasures, and that's it, girl. You could be by yourself. All of that is not by like, oh, we just tripped into this. This is
It's an
all a part of
agenda.
the master plan. I think. I don't know. Maybe I'm with you, sure. Maybe we both. That's why we
Yeah.
as folk need to just like see the mess and like, and not like let it.
And I wonder, because those artists you're referring to are young artists, right? Are they? I don't know their age, because I know there was a point in time where I felt like I didn't need a man, right? Because I was raised by a
Me
single
too.
mom,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw her do it, and I just felt like I needed a guy to have a kid, right? Like
Yeah.
that was it. Like I was like, hey, like what I need you for? But over the course of time, maturity, you learn things. You learn that that's not necessarily the case. You learn the value of a family unit and things like that. Also want to say there are some folks that did grow up in these households with a two-parent household, and they were dysfunctional too. So we're not saying that that's
Well, you know what? Go ahead, finish your point.
No, I'm just saying we're not saying it's not that is
No,
perfect.
I mean, I grew up in a household. I always had my mommy and my daddy. They still married. They've been together, married for over 50 years. So they've been together since whatever. They had their children after marriage. They didn't just like, oh, I got pregnant, let's get married. So they did everything the right way. But I just thought it was, but my father, who's Jamaican, I don't know if it has anything to do with it, but he's very, growing up, even though I had my mom there, he was the person that took over the realm of really raising me, like priority wise, whatever, he had the final say. And he always raised me to be like, you don't need anyone else but yourself, or you can call on your parents. You don't need nobody else. You are smart, blah, blah, blah. So I always had that mindset, like,
Mhm.
okay, I don't need anyone else. I was like, ooh, I'm going to rise up the ranks in corporate America, blah, 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 make X amount of money. I don't need nobody else. But, like thinking about things, and maybe through the youth, because I do see therapists ever so often, but just like really thinking through things. He raised me to be a woman that he wouldn't even want. My mama ain't like that. My mama is not like that. I
Right.
mean, my mama is the, who very, and I'm nurturing in heart, but she, cooked, make sure everything was right, fed my dad, served him,
Right.
like
They had like
that.
the gradtional kind of gender
Yeah,
role type of marriage.
yeah, like they're very old fashioned, old school, and he raised me to be something that he wouldn't even want as
Mhm.
a woman. So it's just like, damn, wow. Okay. So yeah, it took a while for me to get it as well. Like, look, this, interdependence is what it is. It's not so much the independence. Yes, you should be able to do some things for yourself, but especially, now being a single mom as well, I feel terrible that I'm not raising my son in a two-parent household, and he doesn't see that. Um, he hasn't seen any, he probably seen or know of, he knows of one person I dated. He's seen one other person a few years ago, but he was so young. But he hasn't really seen anyone really love on his mama. And he's
Mm.
almost 9. He's
Yeah.
never seen that. And that's a problem. But anyway, I'm sorry. I'm going all over the place.
No, it's true. I mean, I didn't grow up seeing that, right? Because my mom again was a
Mm,
single mom, and I never even saw her date, right?
wow.
Go figure, Tamika and her dating challenges, right? Like Yeah, I mean, like I don't even understand it. And then, yeah, not having a father in my life, that's a whole other thing that I'm dealing with personally and trying to like understand that dynamic and how that's affected me in my dating and what I should be looking for and just being vulnerable and letting someone in and yeah, it's a lot. But I want to get back to the comments.
Yeah, girl, go ahead.
I agree with this partly, Sherm. But yes, the laws around marriage generally scare men. True. I think that is a fact. Now, the rest of your statement, they marry a woman and support her for her to just cheat on him, divorce him, and take from his
Wait a
life.
minute.
There's so many true statements surrounding the idea of marriage. I'm not going to your second part of it. I'm going to say I do agree that as far as men versus women and thoughts on marriage, I 100% agree that most men do not like, they are scared of it for these reasons. More so she's going to get half, right? Like you hear that all the time, like, oh, I don't want to get married because of X. And what's also interesting, this came from one of your comments on your post where it was like, yeah, they say it's cheaper to keep her, but she don't want to be kept, because the article says about 69% of women are the ones to initiate the divorce, right? So yeah, so I guess that kind of ties into that, Sherm. It's like, we get married, we're unhappy for whatever reason, we're gonna divorce, we're gonna initiate that divorce, and then yeah, a lot of times it's more favorable to the woman. Vanette,
Girl,
I
these
hear
comments are coming in. I didn't even see all them. Like, woo, everybody got opinions. I love it.
you
I'm
can't
sorry,
type,
girl.
but I need you to type, girl. I need you to type. Okay, another comment. Let's see. The kids of that generation grew up in fatherless households, and that became normal. True. Amira says, and so-called Black women embracing the feminist ideals aided in destroying our relationships.
Woo,
So there is that.
I do want to. Woo, I do want to say.
Go ahead, KG.
He hit it because I love when women embrace their femininity. I think all women, especially as Black women, need to do that. But that feminist movement that you see a lot of, I'm sorry, white women like championing, it's a detriment to us, because what they're focused on is like, oh, kind of like, oh, I don't need anyone, power, the women power, but it doesn't do us any value. It doesn't serve us, especially in corporate America. We can't get any of that. Like I see the white women go way up, utilize that feminist, but it doesn't help us as Black women. So we have to understand who we should be, what part of I don't think the feminist movement we should be a part of, but yes, embracing our femininity, our womanly values as we are. Yes. Yeah, so that feminist movement is also a detriment to us relationship wise as well. I concur.
Mm-hmm. And then another comment by Sherm, basically confirming some stuff we already said. There are many factors that perpetuate the idea that marriage is bad: the music, culture, divorce horror stories, stereotypes. True. Vinette, I'm not sure what you're referring to. He knew the men in your generation. I think
Oh,
she's
my
talking about your dad. Yeah.
Yo, I swear, and I had to talk to my therapist about this. He said something to me that sticks to me to this day. And he said this to me, I guess, when I was I don't know if I was 12, and I started developing, and more boys were, finding interest in me, and my dad with his keen eyes looking at this, and he's like, look, let me tell you about these boys and these young men. The only thing they want to do is F you. I mean, he said in his way. They don't want to do anything. They don't want to love you. They don't want to respect you. That's all they want to do. So it kind of messed me up. Like, I really thought, like, I mean, and it's true. Guys, even the ones that want you, ultimately they want to take it there. But he kind of, my dad meant well, but he kind of missed the mark with providing some insight over that. But yeah, Yeah, I guess he did find that. He knew. But I don't believe our generation is shit though. Because I do believe there are good men out here that will do right by me and the people and my homegirls who are also single, because we're good people. So I don't want to believe that they're
Right,
ish, like my dad thinks.
right, right, right. Yeah, Vinette, I see the ones who have half don't want marriage. Yeah, I mean that's exactly I think what Sharon was saying. Those who have something who are at a certain level of income or wealth or whatever, they're they're not really wanting to get married because they don't want the women, taking what they have if it ends up in divorce. So, yeah, I think that is definitely one of the reasons why some men are averse to marriage. But anything else, KG? Any
But that is what I wish we could have a call in because
call
she
in?
was on fire. She's like, where at? Where the good men at? I added a clapping because I can feel this is what she's doing. Where
I
at?
mean,
Where the good
I
men at?
know. I mean, I say that. I mean, I have plenty of them as friends. You know what I mean? Just because we
Yes,
didn't really work out romantically, that doesn't mean that they're not good men. So I always say that. Like I am not the person that's always going to say, "Oh, these men ain't this," and there's so many. Yeah, I just, maybe they're not as prominent or there's not as much, I mean, we already have that ratio kind of imbalance, and then you start dwindling down in terms of different categories of men, so maybe it's not as many, but they're out there. I don't know, maybe they're just at home watching TV, not really looking to date, because I do think that the dating dynamic at this age is very different. You don't, at least I don't find men being as like aggressors or like pursuing when I go out. Like it's like
that's
they're
a
not
problem
they're
too.
not they're not really interested. But I'm like,
Mhm.
after 40 some odd years of doing that, I feel like maybe they just like, I'm good. Like sometimes they're just like, I'm good. I can have a little shorty here. I don't really need, maybe they don't need the
But
relationship or
that's
the
the
marriage. And
problem
it is a problem. Well, it's
because
a problem.
that's the
It's a
thing.
problem. It's a problem for those who want to be married. Not everyone
Yeah.
does. So
Okay. You're right. You're
yeah,
right.
not everybody wants it. That it's just, it's not one size fits all.
That's
So
true. That's
yeah,
true. I just wish those who do want long relationships, whether it's marriage or whatever, would just do a better job of not being like, okay, the shorty that some dude that can call up and get a little up, having some more self restraint. And that's also for men as well. Having more self discipline, self restraint, really being focused on finding people, or because you should date multiple people that align with what you want. If it's marriage, if it's a goal, a long term relationship or a goal, instead of always searching or going for what's easy. I think that's part of the problem. But I know we come into the end of the discussion. I hate leaving without some kind of resolution or something. And I just hope that I think a good tip is for everyone to reevaluate themselves and understand who they are, really get to know themselves, get to know what they like, go out, take themselves out, try new hobbies and really enjoy yourself and understand, you know what, I really need someone to write me beautiful poetry, whatever, like really understand what you want and need, and then go out into the dating world and you're more focused. And see, I guess that's the structure. I mean, now you're more focused to leading to what you really want, and maybe more wholesome relationships can take off from that, and also communicate. That's what I would leave with, as well.
just going back to the comments,
You and Pearl.
talking to Andre. This comment makes me laugh because he says, of course, there's good men are out here. Y'all just have them as friends, and I, I mean, yeah, I've definitely fallen into that, right? Because we all have our little criteria, right? Us women of what we're looking for in terms of attraction. But I
Yeah.
feel like, we can, I don't know, I can't really settle if it's not there, if it's not hitting, the chemistry romantically
Chemistry
is
is important.
yeah, it's just, you can't
Yeah.
just be a great guy. So yes, you guys are there, but sometimes we put
Mhm.
you in that other category. I actually
Yeah.
have a friend. She's probably not watching now, but she met a guy
Okay.
and he's great and everything, checks all these boxes, but it's just
Nothing.
not it's just not,
Well,
but she's gonna give it a try and go out a couple times and see if anything, sparks. But we still want sparks. We want butterflies. Like, why
yeah.
can't we have that? Like, we shouldn't just have to be
Exactly.
with someone because he's a good guy.
Yes, and the same on the flip side. I wouldn't want to be with a
Yeah.
man who doesn't like adore me and crave
Yeah.
me or want me and have this insatiable passion for me. If he just looks at me and just like, oh, she's so cute, and yay, let's be friends. I don't want that. I want him to crave me too. So I
Yeah.
want that same kind of attraction for the man that I'm with. And if
Right.
don't waste my time, and I'm not going to waste yours.
Vanetta kind of taking this conversation a different way. Black men
Okay.
don't want black women. I mean, that's not the
Oh.
stat that we talking about, but that's a whole nother.
Girl, we're gonna have a part two. Apparently, we hit some nerves today. I love
It's
it.
bad out here for single black women. Oh my goodness. I'm not, I don't know. You black men in the chat, you guys can
That's true. Come on,
you
speak
can
up.
you can speak up whether or not that's a true statement for you. I'm glad we got a lot of engagement here. I mean, like you said, KG, I feel the same way. I've been trying to do the work on myself. I have dabbled in therapy here and there. Just trying to get a better understanding of, what my needs are and to work on my communication, my vulnerability issues, all these things that, again, we all kind of bring into whatever relationships that we start. So I do think that is the big takeaway is, we got traumas, we got all these notions and perceptions that we bring in. And yes, we have experiences, real experiences, but I don't know, we can't really judge that new person based on it. It's a fine line. Yes, you should learn from it and, be more mindful of, your decision making, your discernment and all these things. But yeah, you just can't go in and judge this person by whatever happened to you in the past. So
Yeah.
it's really tough, but I hope that we can figure out a way to change these numbers. That's if I don't know. I think a lot of us out here do want. I want love, and so I'm looking for that moment. I'm looking for that person. So that's a whole other thing. Like love, what is love,
Yeah.
and being in love, and I mean, yeah, someone to treat me in a certain type of way where I feel love. I mean, I feel like I'm generous and giving and give love, and just want to be able to receive it. But yeah, I don't know the way that we're demonstrating this, or at least in my experience, I just haven't really seen it. Barnett is wishing us luck.
Girl, you giving up on it? No, don't give up. Don't give up.
But a lot of us have given up, and she's
Oh,
married, so she's not even in this shop. Well, that's why she
no,
said,
that
"I
is
miss
the plot
y'all."
twist I did not expect. She's married to a
Yes. Oh gosh, you teaching my goddaughter not to love. Oh Lord.
no, don't teach it. Oh.
I understand. Again, Vanette has a very practical sense based on her experience. Yeah. And I mean, I can't fault you for what you think, and you know what it takes to make the marriage work. You know that, it takes those finances, right? Like to accomplish something. So
She said love is for suckers. What? Yo, I'm
KG, you and
sorry.
I are in our fairy tale still. So what?
Yeah, don't be like.
No, it's true. Like I get it. I get it. And you said this, KG. You said someone told you about. I don't know if she said this exact thing. Don't marry for love, but you were saying you were referencing
Yeah.
someone. Yeah, I
Oh
mean, so
yeah,
you
she burst my
understand that.
bubble.
Yeah.
Because I was so like, oh, I just want to be in love and we love. And she's like, oh, please, no, you don't just get with someone just based on love. I'm like, what? She burst my. This is when I was in my 20s, y'all. So I don't want you to think this happened yesterday. But someone I looked up to. I was getting my master's. She was getting her law degree, and she broke it down. This woman was phenomenal. All the dudes loved her. She was the model now, law student, very attractive. And she broke it down. And it's not about no love. It's about everything from money and everything else. And it just, wow, there are a lot of factors. So I kind of understand that love can't be the only focus in
Right.
a relationship because that's not going to work.
Yeah, we got to be able to accomplish some things,
Yeah.
move forward as a unit. And I mean, yes, it takes money, it takes a certain level of drive.
Yeah.
It takes so many things. Like a person's character is, at least for
Mm-hmm.
me, is very important. Their
Oh,
values and
yes,
all
please.
that
That's
stuff.
number
So
one. Yeah.
yeah. So I get it, but I still, want that. I want the friendship. That's really, really important to me, is to have that foundational friendship. So
That and the romance for me. I
oh, yes,
can't
and the romance. Woo.
I gotta feel wooed and craved and everything else. I need both. So yeah.
Yes, yes. So Sherm said, "What is the purpose if you don't have love? I'll be that sucker for love. Without love, I don't need anyone. That is, if that's the case, everyone would just be a person. Yeah, it has to be a part of it. It comes, at least for me, it comes with it. There's no way, at least knowing myself, I'm not going to be in it. I'm not going to be able to stick with it. I'm not going to want to do the things if
Yeah.
that isn't there. I'm not just, I do not want a business transaction as some people are looking at. I don't want it's just a contract. I don't want that.
True.
So, oh my
Gotta
gosh,
be
you guys.
balanced.
Yes, thank you. Thank you everyone for their participation. I mean, like we said, one of the main issues for or reasons for divorce is that lack of commitment. And we just want to say to you guys out there who are married or in relationships, maybe you want to show your lady that extra level of commitment, this investment in her, and you want her to be her best self, and just know that you love her, you value her. You can go ahead and participate or purchase one of our packages for a flying dress photo shoot and make her feel just like that special queen that she is to you. We're still getting comments in here.
But fly high. Fly high,
Yes,
people.
I
Look
know.
with your boot.
Exactly. Make her feel special, right? Like, I mean, acts of service. You know what I'm saying?
I love they put it to the love language, girl.
Yes, acts of service. And you could be in it with her, It could to be a nice
Yeah.
couple things to do to bring that romance in. So, well, thanks everyone for joining today. We hope you got something out of this, enjoyed the conversation. We definitely love the participation, and we will see you next week on our next episode. Enjoy the weekend and the week ahead. Bye, everyone.
Everyone.